Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. I need a song. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. Ooh, do, 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 do. Wonder if I can play our little intro song.
There's a love that's always open wide, a beacon shining through the night. Waving AL me church, where hearts collide. Hope and love, hope and love. Find it here. Waving amen church, hope and love. Rise above. This is the place, a holy rebirth. Walls that whisper prayers of grace. Every soul can find their place. When it ain't me, a sacred space. Feel the choir sing, let the spirit flow. Hands lifted high, let your burdens go. This is where the broken grow. Hope and love, find it here. Waving amen, church, hope and love. Rise above. This is the place, a holy rebirth.
Hey, everybody. Hey. Excuse how I look tonight. Excuse the dogs in the background. We just over here trying to make it. Hello, good evening, good evening, good evening. It's late in the midnight hour. It is late. But a couple members had called me and said, Pastor, we need you to record the Liberation Labs from Sunday. And I've been slipping on my pimping, so I had to make sure that I came in and recorded something before it got too late, before the week had passed and we were at a new Sunday. So I hope that everyone is doing well. I've had a long day. I mean, just look at me. It's been a long day. But it has been a great day, a blessed day. And just want to get into kind of Sunday. So on Sunday, we are currently in a sermon series called Something is About to Change. And we are studying the book of Nehemiah. And we started with oh, he's going to cut up. I'm sorry, y'all. We're really going through each chapter. And we started with chapter 1 where we're talking about the walls that we have. Y'all, please excuse my dog. The walls that we have built up that are consistently kind of hitting us, that we carry walls every day, that we do not realize that we have ultimately let down. So what I mean by that is that some of us have literally, we used to pray every day. We used to do a list of things that we no longer do anymore. Or better yet, that doesn't work. So what we used to do, and I ain't saying prayer don't work before y'all start coming for me. But there are a list of things that we used to do, whether it's setting our boundaries, whether it's, I used to be able to say my quick little mantra and nothing bothered me, right? And now you're getting to a place in life where that doesn't work anymore. We're now looking at the walls that once set. When we talk about the larger context of the church, we could go on and on. There are a list of things that used to work, that we used to do. Oh, I look crazy. I'm sorry, y'all. That we used to do, that we used to say. Now the language has to change. Now many churches need to be accepting, and we need to make sure that there's bodies. And now we really shouldn't have dressed down Sunday anymore, right? You come as you are. So we now have these moments where there was something that once worked that no longer works. And chapter 1, you have this story of Nehemiah really coming in, and he's looking at these walls. And the best part that I loved about this chapter is that he starts praying for his ancestors. Like, Lord, I'm sorry for what they did. And it caused me to pause to really ask how many of us not only pray for our ancestors, right, but actually consider what our ancestors once did. So there's a moment that you may have a great great grandfather that had done something in life that caused your family now to carry this generational pattern, and you all are sitting in it. So, not so much you're praying for grandpa, but you're praying for the fact that something occurred in his life that now has caused the whole family to have this generational pattern. And whatever that pattern is that runs in your family. And now your family has to heal from that. And it's something you didn't cause. You're born into it. It's something that just occurred. So Nehemiah, who is now coming 400 years later after the walls had come down, and he's saying, listen, this isn't even my fault, but this is my call. And many times we go into places not realizing that some issues aren't our fault, but it is our call. That if you feel moved, if you feel dedicated to do this, that's your call. That's where you're supposed to be. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So that was that week's sermon. We then continue to go down to broken walls. So just a little plug. If you go to wayman-amec.com and our spiritual growth section, you'll see devotionals. We've been doing 2 5-week devotionals. We're on week 3 now. But the second week goes into broken walls, where I didn't preach that sermon, but our elder came down and I gave him the text to kind of preach. And he talked about the burden, the blueprint, and the blessing. And when he went into these 3 kind of concepts, he's looking at the burden. And many times we are called to something and we do not recognize that it is a burden, right? There are parts of it that very much carry a level of burden that we don't want to admit. We like to spiritual bypass. It's okay. The Lord called me to it. I'm going to just do it. But really recognizing that this sucks. Like, I don't like the way this feels. I don't like what I'm walking into. This calling may be isolated. The situation may be a problem. So we keep moving kind of into this space where this is a burden. There's burdens and blessings. You probably heard that before, but there's a part of the journey when you're called to something that it isn't rainbows and butterflies, but it is something that you're called to, that you must do, but it may not be something that you want to do. A lot of times I tell people, I kind of side-eye folks who are real thirsty to get into ministry because a lot of us, a majority of us, there's some people who knew since they was 10, and that is great. But there are some of us who are like, you sure about that? Like, let me run back, Lord. Are you sure you're calling me? Because we understand that there is a burden to this, right? There's a blessing, there's a blueprint, there's a list of other things that it comes with, but we recognize the burden. And that's kind of the first thing when you're talking about changing your life or changing who you are, or there's about to be a shift that happens in your life, is you have to be real with yourself about the burdens that it may carry. And when you have the ability to recognize that, count your costs, right? You got to sit with the space to say, I need to count my costs. And when you have the ability to count your costs, you then have the ability to now move into the next space. The next space where he kind of went into was talking about the blueprint. Many times God has given us a vision and we are quick to run that thing to Facebook. We are quick to go tell our friends, our family. And there's a moment in the blueprint that you just got to be quiet. Like, you do not need to tell people. So Nehemiah did not tell everybody, yo, I'm about to go build this wall. He was very quiet about what God had told him and what was about to happen. And a lot of times, because it comes from God, because we're so excited, we want to run and tell everybody, this is the vision. This is what the Lord told me we're going to do. This is what I'm going to do for my life. I done wrote it down. It's on my wall. It's on my vision board. You've done all of that, but you haven't really got the steps of the blueprint. You don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what obstacles you're going to face. At that point, the donkey couldn't go up the hill, right? So he had to get off and walk by himself. He could not take his resources and his help with him. And a lot of times we get excited for the vision, but we don't realize the valleys, the ebbs and flows that will come with the vision. So when we're really looking at that, when God puts something on you, shut up. Like, don't tell everyone your business. Don't tell everyone the blueprint. Sometimes you got to sit and let that thing marinate, because you have to recognize where it's taking you. Where are you going in this season? Where are you supposed to move in this place? And a lot of times, just because, it's the Lord, we want to run to that thing quick and tell everybody, oh, the Lord's changing me and this is happening. Sometimes the Lord says, I'm giving this to you. I'm planting this seed. I'm showing you this vision. I'm showing you this direction you're supposed to go in, but I need you to shut your mouth. I need you to be quiet about it and not let everyone know, because there's going to be some things that not only will cause you to doubt, but will cause other people to doubt. So you go into that, and then naturally you get to this point now where Nehemiah's come down, he sees the people, and they're like, yes, let's rebuild. So he's got everybody with him on the team, and that's naturally the blessing. So now I fast forward us to Sunday. So Sunday, and I'm sure I butchered these three men's names, but Sunday is where we begin to meet the individuals of Sanballat, Tobiah, and Gresham. And we meet these three men who in chapter 2 very much just meets Nehemiah and says to him, what are you doing? Did you get permission from the king? That's the only thing they say to him. They don't give him any more beef about anything. Those are the two questions they ask him. And as I was reading, because Nehemiah doesn't even address them afterwards, he goes into he gives them a little clap back, but he really doesn't address their questions. He doesn't tell them what he's doing. He just claps back on them and keeps moving. So it immediately made me think, what happens when these three men are actually the voices that are in our head? So the title of my sermon was Silence the Voices. And it was simply that, because a lot of times when we get ready to start rebuilding our lives, when we get ready to start changing something we're about to do or start new, we become our biggest hater, our internal voices. And when I broke it down, I really broke it down into family systems theory, where we have there's this there's a psychology about the parts of us. So everyone has different parts. The thought process of you fall into it, that within our psyche, we all have different parts of us that show up at different times in our lives. I give a special shout out to Reverend Lana, because she introduced this to me, Reverend Lana Miller. So there are different parts that show up in our lives that we all experience. And the parts aren't really there to harm you. Majority of the time, the parts believe that they're protecting you. So the example I gave, most of people over the age of 40-ish were latchkey kids. We all had the key. We had to get home with our parents. And depending on your birthing order, now you have been taught one or two things, right? Maybe three, depending on your birthing order and how many siblings you have. If you were the oldest, you now have ingrained this thought process that I have to take care of everyone. Because when you got home as a latchkey kid, you had to make sure everybody was fed, everybody got off the bus, you had to grab everybody, you had to come in, lock the door, make sure everything was safe. So you were as a child, your thought process has now ingrained in you to say, I have to take care of everyone. If you were the only child, right? At this point, you may have a thought process that says, I can take care of myself. Like, I'm good. I got this. If you were a latchkey kid, you got home, you made your snack, you did your homework, you did everything you needed to do because you didn't really need anyone else. And not that you didn't need anyone else, but you garnered the strength and the ability to take care of yourself as a child. So when this comes about, now you're an adult. And the adult side of you is now tired of taking care of people. So you're so exhausted, you're so tired, you get to a place you say, I'm done, I'm not taking care of anybody. And then your little person comes running up. And that little person that's a part of you then says, but you're supposed to make sure everybody's okay. And in this moment, you now have this internal conflict. We all have it, whether it's our thoughts, whether it's our behaviors, and whether it's our feelings. So if you had a deadbeat dad, if you had a dad who didn't show up, wasn't there frequently, or maybe your siblings or your parents had passed, you have this kind of feeling that people don't stick around for you. So now, because that is a feeling that you have, when you get in relationships, many times that little part of you will come running to the forefront to say, this person will fail you too. And you will consistently struggle in relationships because that part of you begins to run how you move. So this comparison in this text is really coming to these three voices being the same voices that are in our heads, our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. Now, if we shift over to our behaviors, there's a list of things that we do. The big one is many of us eat, we shop, we drink, we smoke, we do all of these things to really numb or to step away from what we were called to do. Many of us, I'm a victim of it, should be making sure I'm setting up my Bible study, but instead I'm scrolling on TikTok or I'm doing something else non-productive but God has placed a blueprint in my life that I should be doing. So we do these things almost to talk ourselves out and self-sabotage ourselves from having the ability to move and do what God calls us to do. And a lot of times it is a small part of us, a childhood part of us, a moment of our trauma. There's just this part of us that has developed in our lives that keep in our forefront. And we literally have to talk to this little part of ourselves as an adult. So these are the times when people say, I had to heal the little kid in me. People who say that are saying they had to heal that part who needed someone to say, hey, you don't have to take care of everybody. You just got to take care of yourself. Hey, people do show up for you and they will continue to show up for you. Hey, you probably don't need to scroll for 3 hours. You definitely should be reading a book or doing something that is connected to what you were called to do. And you have to literally talk to the child in you to say, it's okay. We're okay. And we're moving forward. So not so much of when you're healing that part of you, that part is just trying to protect you. That part is not trying to harm you. That part is just trying to protect you. Now, put a pin in it. When we get to the text, they wasn't trying to protect nobody. We knew that was a political move, which they were trying to get him not to build. It depends on the version you read. It'll say they mocked him and they ridiculed him. So all of that will happen, but these voices will also do that. And no, you're not going crazy. And before somebody says, so you're telling me I'm hearing voices? No, you're not hearing voices in your head, but it is your subconscious really talking to you and telling you, hey, do you think you can do that? Hey, you look crazy, Lexus. Should you get on your live to talk to people about this? So you have these voices that are consistently talking to you throughout the day. And each one of these voices are connected to a part of you. And whatever that part may be, sometimes we have to have this internal conflict within ourselves to fight it. But there's a blessing, right? Because at the end of chapter 2, Nehemiah does not address the voices. He does not really address them. He basically is like, listen, the God of heaven will give us success. And many times we've learned to say mantras in order to move on with our day. And the question goes is, what is your mantra? What happens when there is a voice that shows up in your life that is telling you you can't do it? What do you say? Because it's your voice. What do you tell yourself before you know, or when you recognize self-sabotaging is about to occur? What do you say? Is there, whether you're no weapons formed against me, whether it's scripture, whether it's I'm that chick, whatever it may be in that moment, but what do you say to stop the voice? Hey, even if it's talking to your little person, hey, you got to sit down. The adult in me got to run this right now. I understand that little Lexus is mad right now, but the adult Lexus has to run this. And it's a matter of saying Nehemiah didn't address their questions, but his response was, the God of heavens will give us success. So it's not even a doubt in who God is. It's very much a confirmation that God's about to do this thing. Now, at the time, Nehemiah was looking at the sheep gate was over here. The lumber was over there. Nothing about this wall was put together. But very much what he knew is that this thing is going to work because God will give us success, because the God I serve will always be on my side. So it was very much in this moment. And then he clapped back. So towards the end of the text, he's very much like, and you have no claim here, no share here, or any historical right. Dig into that. People who are telling you what you can and can't do. Do you even have claim over my life? Do you know me? Before you tell me who I am and what I can't do you know anything about me? Can you put claims on me? Can you put words on me? Do you know anything about me or my life in order for you to tell me what I can do? Do you know what God has told me that I can do before you have the audacity to open your mouth and tell me what I can't do? You have no share. So you don't, people, there are people who are not invested in you. Flat out. They're nosy. They're going to ask you a bunch of questions, but they're not invested in who you are. They do not care. They have no share with you. They do not care what you got going on. They're only asking, they're only inquiring simply because they want to be nosy. And then, of course, historical right. As Black people, we're pretty powerful in these streets. So having the ability for someone to tell you what you can't do, you have no historical right. No one has the right to tell Lexus what she can and can't do. No one has the right to tell you what you can and cannot do, because people don't hold the historical right. We have the power to speak as we talk about the times we're in now, the unjustness that we're seeing daily. This is the moment that we come in to say, you don't have any historical right to speak on me. Whoever about to say something, you don't have the ability to talk over me. And I love that part of Nehemiah, because again, he does not address their questions. He didn't even care about what their questions were, but he ensured that he said something that they knew. You got to go somewhere and sit down, because I got stuff to do. And how many times is that something we need to do and put our belief in God? So not only do I have to tell people this ain't your business, stay out mine, but also believe that God will give success. Not maybe, God, if you got a little time, is it possible? Can you do it? But God, you will give me success over whatever I'm doubting in my mind. Whatever I'm telling myself, if I switch that thing and believe that God, you will be the one to give me the success. We will get success out of this. Whatever the dream is, whatever the vision is, believing in that is what will move us further, is what will cause it to manifest. And many times what happens is the first step that happens in the midst of us wanting to rebuild is that we miss the step of listening to our own voices, that our own self-sabotaging will cause us not to be able to build. Because once you get to chapter 3, everybody named Mama showed up. So once he was able to overcome his own internal voices, and of course, it's not what the text says, but so once we are able to overcome our own internal voices or people who are trying to speak words over us, you sure you can do that? That seemed like a lie. Your schedule gonna allow that? You able to do, like, as soon as you start hearing all of that you know is not beneficial to you, you have no claim, no share, and no historical right here. Move around. So you have that moment, and that is the moment that you know, Lord, I believe in you so much that we will succeed, that everything that you have shown me, every vision, every promise that you have for me, we're going to get this thing done. And you believe it in your hearts of hearts, even if it's not a change, but it's something that you've been asking God for. God, the Lord of the heavens will give me success, whatever it may be. And maybe that's your mantra to leave with on tonight, on tomorrow, when you're sitting there and you're doubting that something will happen, you're doubting that God will come through. The Lord of the heavens will give us success. And what I loved about it is it didn't even say me. I just said me for my own mantra. But I love it, and I probably need to change it to us, because I need my husband, I need my children, I need my mother, I need everyone around me. The us is not just for me, because when you're blessed, the people around you should feel that blessing. So when that mantra or when that prayer comes up, when you in your prayer this next week, in your prayer with the Lord of heavens will give us success. That God, you will give us success of the thing that you have given us, the thing that you have promised us, all the things that we have the capability of doing, so that God, at the end of the day, we can fulfill the calling that you have placed on our lives. So I pray this moment has blessed you. I'm going to go do something with my hair. I'm going to go take care of that. I'm going to get me some rest, but I pray everyone is well. Next week, we're still in our sermon series, so tune in to Wayman AME Bloomington on Facebook and on YouTube. It'll probably stream on my pages as well, but definitely tune in. And if you want a little devotional this week, we are talking about silencing those voices, so please click on week 3, and that is at wayman-amec.com. and go to Spiritual Growth tab and click on the devotional series. I pray that you are blessed tonight. I pray that whatever God has placed in your calling and into your life, that God fulfills it, because God will give us success. God bless y'all. Good night.